Welcome to Get the Facts, the program that provides you with information on government's policies and initiatives. I'm your host, Enthros Campbell. Now today we'll be looking at the Jamaica Council for Persons with Disabilities, and we are sure you're going to be learning lots more than you already know. Our resource person is Senior Legal Officer, Ministry of Labour and Social Security, Janita Smytle. Mrs. Smytle, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
Really good to have you. Now let us start with the Act. The Disabilities Act, that was passed in 2014.
Yes, that's correct.
Tell us, what are the tenets and how is this act going to make lives of disabled persons better?
Okay, so the Act seeks to promote the rights and to reinforce that the rights of persons of disabilities are to be respected. This is something that is actually in the Constitution for every single Jamaican, but we recognize that the persons with disabilities are actually marginalized. They are treated as different, and so it was believed that greater protection was needed, and this was borne out in the enactment of the Disabilities Act.
Right.
So the Act actually sets out certain rights, the right not to be discriminated against, and basically it seeks to foster inclusion in society.
Right. Talk to me now about some of the issues, for example, that are in the Act. For example, provision for children going to school, persons going to tertiary institutions, and social amenities.
So the Act speaks to education, and it sets out general guidelines, and basically it indicates that the persons with disabilities are supposed to be exposed to the same education as general members of society. So whatever the educational institution applies for persons who are deemed to be normal in society is actually supposed to apply to persons with disabilities. Right. You also the Act also speaks to public transportation, because persons with disabilities are actually marginalized there. The transportation is not equipped to take them, for example. So persons who are wheelchair bound, they are not able to access this facility. So the legislation speaks to that. It also speaks to medical care and, or rather health care, and the right to political life, and yes, right, and other such rights.
Right. What about access to buildings and so on?
And that's a very good point, because Section 33 of the Act actually goes into that, and it differentiates between existing premises and new premises. So existing premises, we know, are not accessible to persons with disability. It's not usable. And so the Act seeks to promote accessibility and the usability by persons with disability. And this is done through by giving allowances for permission to be sought from the landlords to allow alteration of existing premises. So for example, the exit, the entrances, the bathroom facilities may not be in a manner that is usable by persons with disability. The Act treats with that. And in fact, as it relates to the existing...
When you say the Act treats with it, what exactly do you mean?
It basically tells you that your premises must be in such a manner so as to allow the property to be used by persons with disability or to be accessed by them. Yes. So for example, the wheelchair-bound person, as I spoke about earlier, they may need a ramp to access the premises. The bathroom door may need to be widened to facilitate use by the person with disabilities. Mm-hmm. Even a telephone would need to be in such a manner to promote access and usability.
Okay. So it was passed in 2014. Where are we now in terms of operationalizing it?
So work is being carried out by the Ministry of Labour through its department, the Jamaica Council for Persons with Disabilities, to facilitate the appointment date of the Act. So the Minister of Labour will appoint the date that the Act is supposed to take effect. The Act provides that a body corporate is to be established, and the purpose of this body corporate is to carry out the work to ensure that the persons in the disabilities community, persons with disabilities, that they are included in society. Body corporate,
you mean?
I mean, well, they have a statutory power now because the Act establishes it. So they are now no longer a department of the ministry. And so that body corporate they are charged with the responsibility to ensure that the rights of persons with disabilities are being recognized and are not being infringed.
Very good.
And this is done through complaints. So the person with disability, if it is that they believe that their right is infringed, they can make a complaint with that body corporate, which is known as the Jamaica Council for Persons with Disabilities, right? Okay. And that body corporate will now commence an investigation, but it goes a little further because the Act also establishes for a tribunal to be developed, to be in place, and this tribunal is actually to look into the complaint and to actually settle that complaint.
Very good, very good. Now, who is a disabled person? Who is considered disabled?
So the Disabilities Act actually defines who is a person with a disability. And it says that such person is a person who has long-term physical, mental, sensory, intellectual impairment that actually prevents the person from exercising the same right as normal persons in society.
Yes. So somebody who has a limp, somebody who had an accident and is now...
Once it is long-term and it is recognized under the Act that it prevents them from operating in society like the regular Jamaican, then they would be considered to be a person with disability.
Okay, interesting. We'll take a quick break now and pick up with some more information on the Jamaica Council for Persons with Disabilities. Stay with us.
If I cancel them you off, make sure you gon' get them down. That is how we are go trace them, identify them, target and trace it. Prevent disease from spreading, your health is worth defending. Target and trace it. You know a thing for I thank them with pride and put the code even out of style. Target and trace it.
A message from the Agricultural Competitiveness Program of the Ministry of Industry, Commerce, Agriculture and Fisheries.
Welcome back to Get the Facts. Now today we're talking with Senior Legal Officer, Ministry of Labour and Social Security, Mrs. Janita Smikle. Tell us about your promotion of the rights of persons with disabilities. How do you achieve this?
We seek to sensitize persons to the rights of persons with disabilities. This is done through awareness building so that persons in society can be aware that these people are they contribute to nation building, and that they are not to be treated as being different, but to be accepted as normal persons of society. The work of the Jamaica Council for Persons with Disabilities they offer a rehabilitation program, and this program offers, for example, income generating support. It offers medical assistance, so persons will be able to get assistance to purchase medication. Educational assistance is also offered, where persons are able to seek assistance in paying tuition, for example, or to obtain educational supplies.
But how do we access that?
Firstly, persons has to be registered with the council and become a member. Application is done, and the disability has to be verified, and the verification is done through a medical report that is received from a medical practitioner or specialist in the area of the disability concerned. Once the council is satisfied that the person is a person with disability, then they are registered and they can now have access to the programs offered by
So
the
first I
council.
need to find you. Where are you?
Right now, the Jamaica Council, which is a department of the ministry, is at the 18 Ripon Road in Kingston. They are also, access can be obtained through the parish offices of the Ministry of Labour and Social Security. So all that persons need to do is just visit the Ministry of Labour's parish office and to indicate that they are seeking assistance from the Jamaica Council for Persons with Disability, and they will be accommodated.
Right. All right, tell me, what are some of the acceptable terms for persons living with a disability?
Person who is deaf is one of the acceptable terms. A
So you
person
can
who
say
is
deaf,
blind,
a deaf person,
yes,
you can say a blind person.
right,
Yes.
or visually impaired.
Okay.
But it is not acceptable to say that a person is handicapped. We would generally say retarded. In Jamaica, you have heard that term, but those are not acceptable terms. It is best to say a person who is blind or a person who is deaf or hard of hearing.
Okay, but also it's okay to say this person is disabled.
Yes.
Okay, all right. So we never say someone is retarded, right? We use the term they're deaf or they're blind. Yes. Okay. Good. All right. Tell me about some more of the services that you offer to persons living with disabilities. You've said you had tuition. You can help with tuition.
Yes. Medical assistance.
Yes.
Income generating assistance, assistive aid support. So persons who are hard of hearing, they can get support to purchase hearing aids.
Yes.
Right.
Right. And you and people who would have lost, for example, like a hip, can get a prosthesis.
That's
assistance
correct.
with a prosthesis.
That is
yes,
correct.
Yes. Okay. So you recently celebrated Disability Week under the theme "Building Back Better: An Inclusive Society for Persons with Disabilities Post COVID-19."
Yes.
How important was that theme for you?
It is very important. Remember, the Jamaica Council for Persons with Disabilities is in the business of reminding and reinforcing the rights of persons with disabilities. We are aware that persons with disabilities are being marginalized. They're being treated as different. And so we want to sensitize Jamaicans that we are to accept them. They are no different from us. In fact, they contribute to nation building. And so we do not want to demote them, to devalue them. We want to encourage them and to accept them as right-thinking members of society, as somebody who is acceptable, and we understand that, yes, you are special, but that you are equal and are to be treated equally, just like able-bodied Jamaicans.
Right. So we're now experiencing the pandemic, COVID-19. What are some of the challenges that you find now that are turning up among the disabled community?
Access is always a challenge for persons with disabilities. Some persons are blind. Do they have the necessary support? It is possible not. So they are not able to reach out. They may not be technologically savvy, for example, to be able to seek the assistance that are needed. So we recognize that COVID-19 is actually a challenge for persons with disabilities, and we want Jamaicans to recognize that. Let us just do all we can to assist with inclusive.
So are you seeing more issues now under COVID than you were seeing before? Are people showing up with more problems now with COVID?
No, not necessarily.
Okay. All right, as we wrap, just remind persons living with disabilities why it is important for them to register with the council.
We need to know that where you are. We need to be able to assist persons with disabilities. The only way we can do so is to know that you are actually one of those persons with a disability. The programs are available to all persons with a disabilities. We are here to reinforce and to have you included in society. That's the purpose of the Disabilities Act. Additionally, statistics is also very, very important. And for the government to take the right decision, they will have to know what it is that they are operating against.
Thank you so very much. This has been Get the Facts, and our guest was Senior Legal Officer, Ministry of Labour and Social Security, Mrs. Janita Smikle. For more information on the Jamaica Council for Persons with Disabilities, please call their office at 876-968-8373 or visit them at their website at www.jcpdja.com. Until next time, when Get the Facts brings you more useful information. I am Enthros Campbell. Thanks for watching and take good care.